What's up, positive people? You got Dana here, and I'm coming to you guys with a new video. In today's video, I wanted to do a story time. I haven't done one probably in years. I, spend a lot of time sitting around with Marley just talking. She'll ask me about my childhood, and this story came up, and I thought it would be funny to share it with y'all and see if any of y'all had any similar experiences. I'm going to do my best to stay on topic as much as I can, but I did want to give y'all a little background before we get into the bulk of the story itself. So this is going to be late 90s, early 2000s. I don't exactly remember how old I was, but this was late 90s, early 2000s. So I couldn't have been out of middle school at that point. My mom was into like self-help. Even now, we're all really into self-help, manifestation, positive thinking, The Secret, you name it, all of that stuff. Hard body into that stuff. One of her favorite authors is Wayne Dyer, my mom. I love his writing too. But at this particular time, there was a very notable motivational speaker. So I can talk about my experience because I don't want it to sound like I'm hating, but this was just my perspective as a child at the time. So my mom was a huge fan of this guy, had his tapes, had his, at this time it would have been tapes and CDs. She'd play them. I was under the impression that he was like a motivational speaker. But anyway, he had a conference, and I believe it was at the Georgia World Congress Center. If not there, I believe it was at another convention center. I forget. So we go, and it's like a couple of days of conferences, and I don't know if y'all know how the conference circuit works, but basically they have like workshops that you go to where there are bigger crowds. Those tickets are usually cheaper. Then they give you the opportunity while you're at these things for smaller workshops that are even more money, smaller groups, obviously, up until I guess you get to the point where you go and get to meet the big guy. So we went to the conference. I want to say it was like a 3-day conference that we ended up going to. And basically he was talking about how to manifest money. Like, you want to be a millionaire like me? This is how you do it. The overarching theme of this dude's thing was just visualization, manifestation, saying it out loud, not giving you the tools, not giving you the game, but just, hey, you know what I mean? The reason why I'm a millionaire is because I tell people to give me money and they give it to me. And I was pissed that first day because I'm thinking, my mom's going to this thing and he's going to put her on. And the entire time that we're there, it's just positive thinking, positive thinking. And don't get me wrong, that's my life philosophy. Even up to now, I'm somebody who tries to see the glass half full. When I'm going through something, I try to find the good in it. When I'm, going through things, I make it my business to try and keep myself productive. I try and keep things moving and going. That's been my life's mantra, right? So to have this person get all this money from what is probably like a couple thousand people in this conference room, it just frustrated me. So that first day, I'm just sitting there with my mom listening to this dude, and his whole spiel is just, yeah, man, you gotta want it, and this and that. So the second day we go in there, they finally do a Q&A, and everybody in the room was too afraid to ask a question. I raised my hand to ask a damn question, and I shouldn't have listened to my mom. I should have taken the opportunity to ask a question that he, would really have to answer, which was the question that I wanted to ask was, okay, I'm such and such years old. How can I make money, right? But instead, my mom's like, ask him about a savings account. Of course, you're going to listen to your mom. She's the one who bought the ticket. I should have been like, you need to raise your damn hand and answer a question. But whatever. He answered the question. He gave me a bullshit, answer. And things kept moving. One good thing that came out of me raising my hand was I ended up making contact with somebody who was able to get me like a student internship. So completely glad that I did that. It's funny how when we do things and when we step out, positive things come out of that. He ended up being like a mentor to me for a couple years, so that was a totally good experience. I'm not mad about the fact that I ended up, answering the question, because for that other person who saw me at the convention, he was just like, out of everybody in that room, you were the only one brave enough to raise your hand, so that says something. So fast forward, the first day, he does his whole motivational TED Talk. The second day was more Q&A, but it seemed like just, again, no one had the balls to ask anything. So I ended up being like, I think the only question that was answered. And then I think he got more in depth about things. So then toward the end of the second day, he goes, I'll show you how I'm able to manifest money. He's just like, I'm going to stick my arms out and people are going to bring money to me. When I tell you there were people in the crowd standing up and bringing that man money, and it was, again, I was angry, I was enraged, I was pissed off because I could see through the bullshit, right? I'll never forget, there was a woman who walked up there with a $20 bill in her hand. I grabbed her. I'm like, what are you doing? Where are you going? She's just like, I just want to do it. And I'm just like, but for what? And she was just like, it was like a cult. So the last day of this thing, right? We're all in the room. They've gotten rid of all the chairs now. They've turned, they're just like, okay, we're all going to lay down and we're going to visualize. Dude had all these grown-ass people that paid hundreds of dollars to see him on the ground talking about some, close your eyes, envision that you're skinny, all the things that you want, you're skinny, you're wealthy, you're on a private island, you're flying private, you're eating at the finest restaurant, you're driving the car that you want, you're married to the person of your dreams. This is what he has grown-ass people doing for hundreds of dollars. It's such a scam. I was so upset, right? And I just remember being like this. Everybody else was laid out. I remember being like, ain't this about a bitch? And it took me back to being in kindergarten, being the only kid that couldn't do nap time. I never napped as a kindergartner, but I just remember being like, look at all you sheep. Look at y'all. Like, this is why he got y'all money, because y'all a bunch of sheep. And I'm sitting up here looking at my mom like, Mom, you're better than this. And she's so good with her money. Don't get me wrong, anything like that. I think she just sipped the Kool-Aid one time. And we all do. We all get caught up with people, right? So again, she was sipping the Kool-Aid. We ended up going to like one of the luncheon conferences as well. And I guess he had underlings for these luncheon conferences. But I just remember, again, going to one of these and feeling like they're not talking about anything. They're not doing anything. All they keep saying is visualize, visualize, visualize. They give you all these tapes, all these books, all this stuff. And now that I'm older, now that I've Googled the guy, come to find out he was a freaking master hypnotist. Apparently he's the world's fastest hypnotist, is what he proclaims himself as. And that's like his whole shtick. He goes to like conferences, corporate conferences, talks to people, I guess gets them all riled up and excited. And for the most part, everybody was in that room was upper middle class or affluent in management some sort of way. So I guess, why not? But for me, what I came to realize was there are wolves and there are sheep. And a big part of why some people get rich is just they know how to con people. And I'm not saying that he was a scam artist per se, but this idea that he stuck his hand out and people walked to him and were putting dollars in his hand. I don't know if those people were planted, but several hundred people walked up and put money in his hand. So I don't really know. I have a theory. Hear me out. My theory is that the place was never sold out. He probably pays some actors and they come up and they give him money, like straight up and down. And I do remember him saying that he was going to give the money to charity. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that he's like a scammer. And at the end of the day, nobody has to give him any money. But I think that there was possibly actors in that crowd, and because other people saw actors going up there giving him money, they decided to give him money too. I really feel like it was one of those follow the crowd kind of things. I tried to stop someone. I asked her why she was doing it. She just said that she wanted to. So for me, if you want to get scammed, go on ahead and happily get scammed. But also don't think that you're going to become a millionaire if that's how easily you are to separate from your money. So I don't even know if this story has a moral per se, but that was some of the weird stuff that was going on in the 90s that like I randomly remembered that. Just randomly, you know what I'm saying? Oftentimes Marley will ask me things and it just drums up these memories. And that was one of those things where I go, this was a very like, end of the 90s, early 2000s thing where people were going and seeking guidance from, whether it be like a spiritual guru outside of just the church, because the church is a whole nother racket, right? But outside of the church, you had these motivational speakers, these hypnotists, The Secret, all these different people that were trying to sell you happiness, trying to sell you a system for success and happiness when it's all on the inside, all right? And I'm so glad that I'm in a place now where I still don't, you know what I'm saying? I still don't sip the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm not saying that I can't be scammed, but the idea of going to see this already rich man tell me that I can get everything that he has by doing what he does, when, yeah, I don't know of any black women on that circuit either. Like, I would love to see the black women hypnotists. Y'all put me on, y'all let me know, you know, where they at. But anyway, that's my story time for the day. Y'all let me know if y'all want to hear any more funny stories from my childhood. I'm sure I have a bunch in the stash that I would love to share. I figured that was the most harmless. And again, you know, no harm to my mom. She wasn't like a poor woman or anything at this time. We were doing all right in life. You know, she was doing all right in life. She could afford to do that. And for all I know, that's what she was into. Maybe she was going to be hypnotized, you know, to, you know, some people do it, you know, to quit smoking. Some people, you know, there are a bunch of reasons why people would seek hypnosis. And ain't no telling, maybe I'll get to a place in my life where I'm just like, maybe I want to try it again to see if I'm hypnotizable. But definitely at that time I was not. That's my video. Till later. Till next video. Peace, peace, peace. Positive people.